we have time at the end, I will just throw the mic open for anybody else who wants to speak for 10, maybe 15 minutes on anything they want. But first, Felipe and Rodrigo are going to talk about GNU LibreDWG, which is a project to create a free software implementation of the AutoCAD format. So, take it away, guys.
LibreDWG is a project to implement the AutoCAD format. Is my microphone working? No. Okay.
Is it working? Yeah. And now? No? Yeah? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is that okay? Okay, so I have a couple of slides, but it's going to take a while to do. Fully free operating system.
So, how much time do we have?
Let's say half an hour, and then
No,
we'll see how we
okay.
go after that.
This project aims at implementing free software support to a proprietary format. So we got to explain why do we want to support such a format that is non-standard, that is almost secret, except for some unofficial documentation. We do it because we see it as a barrier to free software implementations of CAD tools, CAD tools, computer-aided design tools. How do we say in English CAD tools? CAD is okay?
Yeah.
Okay. CAD tools. So why did we begin that? Because we have a students group at the University of São Paulo, Brazil, where we wanted to have weekly meetings for our free software students, free software studies group. So we helped to set up the network from a laboratory there, so that we could get access to that laboratory to have our weekly meetings. So we installed all the system using free software, and then we figured out that sooner or later there would be a need for AutoCAD or similar tools, because this laboratory is often used for architectural and civil engineering projects. So because of that, we were sure that sooner or later they would need such kind of tools, and as they were not clearly committed to free software there, we felt that they would potentially just simply say, oh, so we don't have CAD tools, just install Windows XP and AutoCAD and so on. So in order to prevent that, we decided to make a project called CAD Livre. Livre means free, as in freedom in Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese. Libre with a B is Spanish. We can explain the usage of Libre in the library name later, because it's not a Brazilian Portuguese word, but all the three first developers of the project are Brazilian. So we gotta explain this later. So CAD Livre was a project that we proposed to this office, to this lab, so that we could start researching which were the available free software CAD tools and which were the features of each one of these. So we made a table. Can you show the table? This is just a portion of the table. It was larger than that. These are just the main software, free software CAD tools.
It's in Portuguese, sorry, we don't have time to translate.
Yeah.
Is sim yes?
Yeah, sim means yes,
Okay.
and no means no.
No.
And DWG means DWG. Read, write.
Yeah, read and write. So the features we wanted, the characteristics were language, computer language, license, 3D support, size of the community. So this first one is just one guy. modularity, multi-threading support, 64-bit support, platforms, if it runs on multi-platform or not. There's a bug there. It's GNU Linux.
Yeah.
File
I did
format.
not write that.
File format. Support, read and write support for DXF, which is another non-standard format, but in practice it's just plain text file, so it's a lot easier to understand than DWG. DWG, read and write support. DWG is similar to DXF, but it is binary, so it's a little bit more complicated to decode. Graphical environment and kind of CAD. Can you explain that?
Yeah, this kind of CAD, like there are some CAD programs are multi-purpose and some are not. Like some are just for 2D drafting and some are for 3D, some are for both.
And last update.
Yeah, this is not really up to date. We did this research in March 2009, April 2009. So this is not really up to date. Well,
Okay,
so
we figure out that from all those, more than, what, 10 to 15 softwares?
yeah, there were 10 or 15.
Yeah, all of them did not support DWG. So we started to look for free software implementations of some kind of DWG library, and we found it. We found one implementation that was incomplete, and it was by coincidence, implemented also by a Brazilian guy.
First, I think we should say about the open DWG track.
Okay.
But looking for a free software implementation of this format, we found something called Open DWG. And then, let's click here. Maybe it's free software. And then we found out that it wasn't. It used to be free, as in free beer, like some time ago. And then we found out that they started charging $1,500 a year for each personal license. Well, what happened is that for just 2 years that this has been like free of charge, many free software programs were built using this proprietary library.
It was never free as in freedom.
Never free as in freedom.
It is a proprietary library implemented by these guys. These guys are the competitors of the Autodesk. So they did reverse engineering and they released a proprietary library for them and for anybody who wanted to use the proprietary library. And they used to offer it for free, but now they are charging also. So it's not making any sense now.
When they started charging for it, like many projects were discontinued. One was called LX Viewer, which would use this library to decode the DWG file and render it. And many other projects had DWG import plugins that used this library and were that obviously could not be distributed as a binary. They only distributed in source form, the plugins, and then you had to recompile it with your own version of the library. So this was the real track of the free, as in free beer software that I think we don't have to point that much. But
it's a huge issue because he's talking about free software using non-free libraries.
The Java trap.
Yeah. So, then we found out one hope. It was LibreDWG. That was the earliest effort, and we found out that this was a project started by a Brazilian guy. It covered 20% of the. There's one thing I didn't mention. This OpenDWG effort was organized by AutoCAD competitors, Autodesk competitors, because the format was a vendor lock-in. So, like, all the competitors joined in a foundation called the Open Design Alliance, and they did reverse engineering of that format, and they made the specification public. And they made an implementation of it, but there was no free implementation. And that's where this LibreDWG came from. A Brazilian guy started a project using that specification generated by reverse engineering, but he covered 20% of that spec. Obviously, that spec didn't cover like 100% all the possible DWG objects, because you can make like your own objects through plugins and extensions, but at least the official ones. But there was one problem with this library. The website, the documentation, and also the source code, like except for the C reserved words, were all written in Esperanto. You know what that is? Free software written with a free language. Or something like that. And well, this project had one contributor, which was its founder, and later we found out that this guy was like an Esperanto activist. So his main objective was something like spreading Esperanto among programmers. And he actually did was successful. Like we had to learn a bit to translate all the thing into English.
Yeah, he convinced two guys to learn a bit.
Because well, we obviously were brought to the conclusion that writing a free software in Esperanto is not a good strategy to bring more developers working with you. But you know, it kind of worked for him. That was his objective. And then later, when we just forked the project without talking to him. It was free software.
We were sure he would say no.
Yeah, we were sure he would say, I'll stick with Esperanto.
Yeah.
And we started to translate that. And then we came back to him and said, oh, we're doing this and that, and translated it into English. And okay, I'm fine, but I'll keep with Esperanto. And maybe I'll start another free software project in Esperanto. And get 2 more programmers to learn a bit of it. So that's when we started LibreDWG. We worked like pretty fast on that because it was like real mechanical programming. Like just look at the specification and start writing code. It was like from 20% coverage to 99 in something like 4 months, and then like had other huge issues to look for, and it took us a while to figure out some stuff and to make LibreDWG usable. And now I think it is. We are like, you always keep saying like first release coming soon. We've been saying that since November, I think. But we will release that someday. That was not a GNU package until then. And then I don't really remember why, but someone told that RMS was in Brazil, and we meant to meet him and said, oh, let's make this a GNU package. And that's what we did. Like 1 month later, it was dubbed as a GNU package by RMS. And it was like in September? No. We were in Legend Aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're a pretty recent new package. Now, being a new package besides, well, it brought us like more visibility, and now we have, we are both the co-maintainers. There are also 2 full committers that have joined the project after it has become a GNU package, and something like 10 or 12 people following our mailing lists and contributing, not just with code, but it's really important to have people testing and sending us samples. Like each file is a different situation. Like we cannot predict if our implementation is correct until we test all the possible entities and all the possible like paths that each entity inside a DWG file can present to us. So it's just a matter of testing.
The DWG file format has entities, which are some groups of data structures. So these data structures have some conditional fields, so that there are some portions of that are available or not in a certain file, depending on some fields. So certain files do not have certain portions of the data structures. So it's not enough to just open one file, because you have to have all the files that enough test files to test each of the portions of the parsing.
We said that this is like, we call this a secret, proprietary, binary, and obfuscated format. And they really did a good job, because like every single version of AutoCAD, or like every major version of AutoCAD, they make a different file format.
Do you have spec here?
Yeah, I can show the spec.
Is this
I think
your
we're good at
backpack?
time. Yeah. So I'll show it to you. Like
Don't you have the printed one?
No.
Because it's a 180 pages document, and we figured out that it would be easy to print it and to place it by the side of the computer, because it's easier than reading a PDF while coding in the other, in the text editor and so on. One special thing that I have noticed, a kind of a pattern, is that in free software projects is often more productive to have at least 2 developers. I have worked on some projects by myself where I was the only developer, and I feel like when you have another person, it's much more productive because you have this feedback loop. It's very common that I spend 2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks working on it, and then when I stop, he begins to work on it, and there's this constant evolution.
So I think this is not really good to see, but this is really something like R13 and R14, which are like, the versions are named of versions, like version 13, 13, 14, and then 2000, 2004, 2007, 2010. And so like, this is like a description of the binary data structure, like following the order of the data types. And so this is something like R13, R14 only, this field. And then common, all versions, these 3 fields. And then like R2000 or later, these fields. R2004 or later, these fields. So like almost every entity that's more complex than a circle changes every version. And the structure of the file changes. More recent files have been encrypted with a key that the reverse engineers could easily devise, but it was too encrypted. And error codes and every kind of stuff just to make it difficult to interpret. Some versions of AutoCAD use it to sign the files, like with digital signature. And then if you could not open a file that was created by another program. So this is like the worst case of vendor lock-in that I've seen. They implement it, they make it the format proper for making this lock-in. There was one more thing I wanted to show. It's some pages behind. Besides being binary, it's bit-oriented.
It's a bit string.
It's a bit string, and the numbers don't respect the byte boundaries.
Yeah, because sometimes if you have to store a value in a certain field of data structure, and you know that this kind of value is often, very often means 0, and very often means 256. And in some rare occasions, this field will have any other arbitrary values. So for encoding these specific fields, they chose a kind of encoding that uses only 2 bits. These 2 bits are 00 if the value is 0, 01 if the value is 256, 10 if it is anything else, so that you can have more 8 bits with the actual 8-bit value, and 11 if it is anything else with a 16-bit value, so that you have 18 bits. So in practice, for these arbitrary values, you spend more bits, 2 more bits to encode. But very often you use only 2 bits to encode very frequent values. So this is a kind of compression technique, but all the data structures will use these kinds of tricks. So it's not really trivial to understand the meaning of a file. If you decode one field wrong, it gets disaligned, so anything else will make sense.
We're just libraries, so we expect CAD programs to use our library. We currently have 2 clients in mind. One is GRASS, which is a geospatial information system. They have a DWG module based on the proprietary library, and so they don't ship with it Debian doesn't ship, obviously, this module. So if someone wants DWG support, has to like buy the proprietary library and compile the program by himself or herself, which is not trivial. I am writing myself this module.
And I have good news for you, live, for everybody and for you also. I was in a party yesterday talking to a guy, and he told me that Grass uses a library called LibreDWG, I think. And this library supports several file formats. And this library is used by other software also. So instead of making a module for Grass to using LibreDWG, we should implement it in LibreDWG so that Grass will have it and other software will have it also. So we need to change our strategy.
Okay, thank you. And then DWG to SVG, which is a converter that like we wrote ourselves. It's among the examples in the source tree. It was just for testing, but we could improve that.
Yeah, the SVG is 2D graphics only, and I was used to this because I am also a Inkscape developer, so I'm used to the SVG file format. That's why I decided to make a example application of the library by making a converter to DWG, only for 2D graphics. It won't work, obviously.
And is anybody here R-Fun hacker looking for a project to participate? Raise your hand. So you, good. There are many ways to participate. Like some of them are just buzzwords. I can say what they are. So I was telling that DWG is a secret format, obfuscated, and all the stuff, but that wasn't enough. DWG does not support 3D solids natively because it was invented in the 70s, and I think they didn't work with 3D solids in computers. But so the solution was embed another proprietary secret format into it. And this is this SAT format.
SAT means save as text. SAB means save as binary.
And I just found out yesterday that this format used to be publicly documented, but then like people started to make, not free, I don't know, implementations of that format that were competing with the company that supplied the kernel, the 3D modeling kernel that supported this format, and so they are not publishing. This is not public anymore. So I think we'll have to reverse engineer that one too if we want 3D support. And so
we will have to reverse engineer also the 2010 file format. Because
yes, the 2010, the open DWG libraries, which are proprietary ones, were released. The new version supports R2010, which is the most recent version of AutoCAD. And some users say that not even AutoCAD versions can understand this file format version. I don't know if that'll be of use, like decoding that one, but anyway, the Open Design Alliance has released the support for this version, but has not released the specs, the documentation. I don't know. Maybe that's because we are implementing it. So
it's also important to say that this project, we were not aware of it when we started doing it, but it is one of the projects in the Free Software Foundation High Priority Projects list. And this, I think that this was one of the reasons also that it was accepted as a package. And we will be participating, the GNU project will be participating in Google Summer of Code. So if anybody here is a student and would like to participate in Google Summer of Code, helping implement some of these things or anything else, just send an application through the GNU project, focus on the LibreDWG.
It's very important for us to test the library, but most of the samples that we can find are not free. So we don't have access to the proprietary software AutoCAD, and we don't really want to. If you have some DWG files that you can release to the public domain or under a GPL v3 license, please.
Or any free license.
Or any free license, that'll be okay. Please send it to us.
So that you can make a test suite.
Well, this is contact information. Any questions?
Use the microphones for questions, that'd be great. Okay, if there are no questions, we can move on.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, guys.